25. We have two really esteemed featured guests that will be joining us later this hour, and they are Representative Ro Khanna, who's really one of the most active progressive members, really the most active progressive politicians in the United States and really in the world these days, as he is doing so many things on so many planes. And of course, earlier in the past week, had one of his highest profile days, of course, of his there's many high points in his political career to date, but certainly the way the vote about the Epstein files played out and the role that Ro Khanna played elevated him into international media. Many profiles were written about Ro Khanna, and as a congressperson as close to PDA as any congressperson in the country, a lot was said about Ro that was very praiseworthy that all of us at PDA know a lot about already. So we're excited to have Ro Khanna returning. And this is actually an appearance that was scheduled from about 5 weeks ago when Ro was on our town hall, but because of his very tight calendar, he could not be on live. So he agreed to sort of do a pre-recorded interview with me and then join. So when he joins today, it's going to be all about two things, but primarily taking your questions. So it'll be like everybody raising their hands, getting into the queue, and asking questions of Ro Khanna. And of course, Ro is somebody who leads on so many of the progressive issues, pretty much he checks all the right boxes to be a PDA progressive across the board, and is somebody who also has very unique relationships to some of the, issues that don't often come up but need to come up more often on our town halls. Things like trade policy and international economics, and of course Silicon Valley and AI and all of those things. So Ro Khanna is good to ask questions to about so many things, and he'll be on joining us. The other esteemed guest is another person of the moment, and that is somebody who PDA was on board. Really big shout out here to PDA's chief of staff, Mike Olis. This is all thanks to Mike, that Mike knew Aftyn Behn. And consequently, PDA, among all of the national progressive organizations, really was the first on board to endorse and really get behind and provide infrastructure for Aftyn back in the primary race. And at the time, she was maybe not considered the favorite for the race. And as it turned out, she ran a fantastic primary campaign and won, and PDA's infrastructural support was a significant part of what led to that. And since she has won, of course, people have opened their eyes to Aftyn Behn. Of course, look, she was the most progressive candidate among the primary candidates. There were some other, established, more moderate Democrats in the race, so you can understand why some national Democratic organizations maybe wouldn't have been backing Aftyn. But not only have the progressive organizations really embraced her since then, and I think a few of them might be got on board right before the primary as well. I can't speak to that with certainty, but they certainly did immediately afterwards, as have a lot of the mainstream Democratic candidates, because by any standards in terms of like charisma and speaking to the issues that matter to the people in the district, she's a fantastic candidate. That she happens to be, again, a PDA progressive, from our point of view, makes her all the more perfect. And she is poised to challenge in the December 2nd special election in Tennessee's 7th district, because Representative Green was the one Republican who resigned pretty much immediately following the votes around Trump's uh, uh, bad bungling bill. He at one point had voted against Trump's wishes on, I think, a procedural vote, and that was too much at the point that he stood down and he immediately retired. He wasn't even going to hold out the rest of his term. And so there was a special election that's happening, and now the election's happening on December 2nd, and Aftyn is running against semi-MAGA, semi-establishment type Republican in what is sort of a 60-40 district. But given the political dynamics in the country right now and the fact that Aftyn is, just as you'll see again, an exceptional candidate, it looks like it's going to be a very close race. And if Aftyn Behn is able to win this race, I think two things. We're going to have such a moment of a blow against the MAGA movement, against Trump, like equivalent to everything that we saw. Just as one race would be equivalent to everything we saw on the 4th of November. And secondarily, just as important, I think we'd have a new political superstar introduced into the firmament, as it were, of American politics, because Aftyn Behn is. I was just at this Medicare for All conference that we, of course, featured as a prelude on last week's town hall, and I got to tell you, everybody at that conference Of course, almost all, very committed progressives, almost everybody at least, because I didn't speak to everybody about this, knew about Aftyn Behn, everyone I spoke to, and they are all so impressed. And they all agree that she not only could buck the trend and win this election in a fantastic victory for democracy, for the people, for progressivism, and a blow to fascism, this victory would represent. But in a context like this, in a special election, if you were to have this kind of upset, there'd be great expectation. Well, of course, you'd have to run again, just like 10 months from now, really, yeah, 10 months from now. And that normally then that candidate often loses. We saw that dynamic with, say, Doug Jones in Alabama. But that she is such a spectacular and eloquent politician whose heart is with the people that she could pull off a victory 10 months from now as well. So we're going to have both Aftyn Behn and Khanna with us in this hour. And we're very excited. We do know that Roe is running a little bit late, and Aftyn Behn will be joining us at the bottom of the hour, and Roe will be just before then. We'll keep you up to date on that. So what we're going to start with now at the top of the hour is maybe some updates from the PDA family. We'll get to Mike Fox in a moment. Maybe, yeah, Mike Fox, why don't you go first? But then we'll go to maybe a quick word from William Walter, and then a quick word from Donna Smith. And then we'll see where we are with the clock, whether Aftyn is here. And when Aftyn comes on, Mike Olis and I will sort of tag team and talking to Aftyn. And then hopefully there's going to be a slight overlap with Aftyn and Roe because Ro Khanna will have a very important announcement to make relevant to Aftyn Behn. Chances are you can guess what that is, but I'll leave it up to them to say for sure. And Mike Fox, how you doing? And what do you got for our PDA to-dos for this upcoming week?
Okay, first thing I got is my hands full here because we're short a couple of folks and I'm letting people in and
Oh,
likewise yapping at you. So, um, you can hear me okay, yes?
oh, we can indeed. I can do the admissions while you're talking to us, Mike. I'll do
Cool,
that.
yes. There we
Very
go.
good.
You're the
Oh, yeah,
man.
yeah,
Thank
for
you, sir.
sure. For sure.
See, look at that. Teamwork right here live. Organizing right here live. Okay. So, our to dos number one, gang, as always, what? Revel in the fact that you're surrounded by people who get it here each and every Sunday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. We are here to do multiple things. But first and foremost, to come together as a community, show solidarity with each other, share positive energy, and get ready for the upcoming week of work. There's no question we're in a tough spot right now. However, there's also no question we can get out of this. If we all come together, show solidarity, positive energy with each other, we can make this happen, gang. There's no question. And I want to thank for making me healthier, quite frankly, just by being here. This community is just the wind in my sails. And I thank you for that. And I hope everybody here can feel that while they're here. Okay. To do number two, take notes, because this is not only an informational fun call, it's a doing call. Okay. We're going to have several to dos here. Let's make sure that we nail them. So you got notes on this. Okay. All right. So, time, treasure. Those are the two ways that we're going to make a difference for Aftyn and continue to build this movement from a time standpoint. A brief one. The Starbucks workers are out on strike right now. We're going to be tossing into the chat.
Mike, you got muted.
Wow, the machine is telling me to shut up. I didn't touch anything. But in any event,
No, it
uh,
ain't.
uh, I'll take the hint. Make this brief. All right. So anyway, Starbucks. I'll be tossing that link into the chat there. It's no contract, no coffee, I believe. But in any event, it'll be in the chat. Likewise, as far as tangentially, as far as the chat's concerned, notice we have an open space here at PDA, right? However, don't take it personally. We're going to be shutting that down while Aftyn and Roe are speaking because it gets too distracting. Okay, we want to stay focused on these two guests. All right, so just prepare yourself for that. But in any event, I'll toss that into the chat. But from a primary standpoint, from a time standpoint, gang, phone bank, phone bank, phone bank, phone bank, phone bank. Did I mention phone bank? All right. Phone bankers, we got a boatload of them on this call right now. Type in the chat, say you're a phone banker, do some sort of a really quick 2-sentence pitch on why you do it and include the link, pdamerica.org/volunteer. Our goal is a minimum of 20 new people on the phone. I know the vast majority of our people who are already on the team are going to be on the phones in the upcoming week. You rock. Let's show solidarity with these folks who have been in since day one with Aftyn. Show solidarity with them and help them bring this home in the final stretch. We've only got a little bit over a week, so we got to make it happen. Phone bank, phone bank, phone bank, okay? All we're looking for is an hour. That's it. It's easy to do. All right, so that's time from a treasure standpoint. We're looking for solidarity here, gang. We readily recognize and we take great pride here at PDA in the fact that the majority of our work is done by volunteers. Y'all rock. You keep us moving. Now, we still need to keep the lights on. So, we're asking that folks show solidarity here as a team. Toss in a buck, two, more if you can. But just bottom line, let's attempt to get 100% participation today in whatever amount you can handle. We certainly recognize for some folks times are very tough. Solidarity. If you can handle $1, toss in $1, okay? But if you can do more, please do. And I will make the commitment of matching the first donation of $100 or more, any amount. Brilliantly, beautifully appreciated. Okay. So we'll be back at the top of the hour to see where we're at on those goals. And then on the very back end of this, we have family time. We'll dive headlong into several other projects that are likewise going on, but aren't our primary focus right now. Okay. So back to you, Alan.
Thank you. And Mike, if you can take back over to letting the people back into the room, we're up to
Indeed, sir.
361 people. And I know that Hartzell Gray is with us, and we're going to hear from him in a moment too. But let's go to William Walter as promised, then maybe to Donna, then to Hartzell. And Hartzell can give a brief update on where his campaign is, because I don't think he's been on since he has a pretty big update he has to share with us on that incredible campaign he's running out there in Missouri. And we'll find out all about the district he's in, how that race looks, since things got shaken up, of course, in Missouri. And I suppose part of the big political news, right, William Walter, of the past few days has been the Supreme Court, of course, allowing the Texas redistricting to go through. Of course, California now will go through and match that, and all of that has proceeded as we sort of suspected it would when the Supreme Court got involved. William, what's up? What's on your mind, though?
Yeah, well, I'll keep it really brief today. Obviously, the Supreme Court ruling was a big deal. I can't
That's
get
me,
over.
sorry.
No worries. I cannot get over the. Speaking as a young person, a lot of my friends and the people in my circle are just still giddy over the Zoran White House meeting the other day. That was just absolutely hilarious. Just the images of Trump beaming at Zoran, showing him more respect and admiration than he has ever shown to J.D. Vance, and more respect and admiration to Zoran than the entirety of Democratic leadership showed Zoran. So obviously, it's I shouldn't laugh because of the severity of the situation, but it just goes to show that I think these lines in the sand are not as clear as we may have thought otherwise. I know a lot of conservative people in my neck of the woods, particularly young people, were approaching that as, oh, Donald Trump's about to wipe the floor with this communist walking into the White House, and then they saw, Trump lavishing praise on him, and it kind of broke their brains a little bit. And of course, Trump even referenced Senator Bernie Sanders in that statement.
And of course, the peculiar trade out of Marjorie Taylor Greene for Zoran Mamdani.
And then, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation, her 4-page statement, which essentially, to me, read as, this aggressive conspiracy theorist gets elected into office, recognizes that a lot of her conspiracies weren't as far-fetched as she may have thought, particularly, the behind-the-scenes deep state control. But what she didn't recognize was that it's the ultra-rich and a lot of Republican politicians who represent that oligarchical control behind the scenes. And then she decided to just kind of quit and move on. So just a fascinating week, and social media in particular was really a buzz at those two events. I know our social media page has did really well talking about that. Social media is not real life, but it was fun to kind of cover some of those stories. So that's something that's been on my mind, and I can't wait to hear from Roe and from Aftyn today, because Roe in particular, he has just been notching victory after victory after victory. His work on the Epstein files was Herculean, and I don't think he's been getting enough credit for the work that he did there. He was, of course, the first to stand up, and he really never gave up, and was able to convince 534 out of the 535 members of Congress to support that. I'm no mathematician, but doing the rough math in my head, that would be 99.8-ish%. When does 99.8% of Congress agree on anything? So incredibly well done by Roe. I'm so proud to call him both an ally and a friend.
Well, thank you for that. That's a great observation. He appears to be the greatest consensus builder in 21st century American politics. So he has an assist from Massey there, I suppose. But yeah, amazing. And look, it actually speaks to some of his incredible skill set. He speaks to people in a very, very straightforward, non-abrasive, communicative manner. And certainly in this instance, it played spectacularly well. And again, it shows to the world what we've known about Roe for so long here, that he sincerely believes in he wants. There's no artifice in the way he presents, and he's very communicative and clear, and it really worked in this instance. But hey, thank you so much, William.
Authenticity, Alan, right? We always talk about the importance of authenticity. Roe is one of the most authentic officials that I have ever had the pleasure of meeting.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. And it's been fantastic, by the way, to watch you coordinate so well with his team, with the great coordination you're already doing in Wisconsin and across the country. And by the way, by next week, I should let people know before I introduce Donna and then we hear from Hartzell. Um, the um, uh, the DNC is coming to Los Angeles, my hometown, and a number of people, including William Walter, are going to be here representing PDA. It was a subject that came up. Did some great coordination with some Florida PDAers at this conference I'm at for healthcare down here, and they're all going to be in Los Angeles for the DNC, and PDA is going to have a special event that we'll be letting you know about in the next couple of weeks. Donna Smith, how you doing?
I am doing good. Thank you for asking. And thank you, Alan, for lifting the PDA flag at the Healthcare Now conference.
Yep.
I watched quite a bit of it on YouTube. They do need to work on their dynamics digitally in the future, but it was a good conference. One line in particular I remembered that really stuck with me as a speaker, who said she doesn't speak from policy, she spoke from pain. And that was such a powerful moment coming from her. She had described losing her brother to our extremely disordered health industry. I'm going to go on a campaign to change our language, because we don't have a health system. We have a health industry. We used to maybe have some kind of a health system, but now it's just flat out an industry. I had a letter in the Denver Post yesterday about nursing staffing shortages here in the Denver metro area that are threatening people all across the area. And if it's happening in Denver post-pandemic, I imagine it's happening all over the country. Colorado's had a really interesting week. We've had Lauren Boebert praised, for apparently going in the Situation Room and standing up to Trump, although none of us know that's what happened. We don't know that they didn't cut a deal on how this was going to play out with the Repubs. Anyway, we had that praise for Lauren Boebert, and then we had on the other end of the week, Jason Crow, our representative Jason Crow, who is certainly under attack from Trump. We've heard all of that discussion about sedition and wanting to put people to death. So it's been a wild week here in Colorado with our congressional reps and what's going on with them. And I think it reflects a lot of general energy in the country that's kind of disordered right at the moment, and maybe is going to come into some more order in a progressive direction, I think, is the way it's really, really leaning right now. I wanted to remind people of two things. Please remember what Mike Fox said about phone banking. It matters so much to these candidates. We've got to get Aftyn Behn across the finish line. And we can do that if all of us would just put in a few minutes. It wouldn't take long, put in an hour, do it over the Thanksgiving break if you want. I think that would be great. And that's not our campaigns aren't the only ones you can engage with. Right now, I'm working with a young candidate from South Dakota who is being kind of smeared by his, not kind of smeared, he is being smeared by some people in his community because he's basically because he's too progressive, is basically what's going on. The day after he was sworn into office, a recall petition was put in place, and he faces a recall. So, what a hoot as the former newspaper editor in Deadwood, South Dakota, calling 20 years ago, folks, 20 years ago. So, I'm calling in, and people go, oh, I remember you. But I was able to go back to the candidate and say, the positions are pretty hardened. The positions are pretty hardened in your community. You have more work to do, and give him some ideas. You may be able to do that, especially those of us who are a little older, like me. Some of the things we can do is offer a little bit of love and compassion, some support, and some ideas that might help campaigns without lecturing. We don't need to do that. That's not necessary. And then finally, we haven't talked much about Thanksgiving. Those of you who may be traveling around this country or doing anything, I would really like us, if we can, to spread as much kindness and love and positivity as we can to workers. It's been a tough time for people at airports. It's been a tough time for people who are federal workers and for a lot of the people that rely on those people for their income. That snowballs, as we all know. So please be kind to people. While you're celebrating your traditions, maybe remind people that we all have some common traditions we believe in, like freedom and equality and our Constitution. It's okay to talk to people about that in the security line at the airport. It really is. It really is. We can be reaching out to people that way, and we can build power. So I can't wait to hear from Ro Khanna. He is an amazing, I would have used the word authenticity if William didn't grab it first. I mean, that just beams through people, doesn't it? You can just feel it, you can see it, and people sense it and know it. So I can't wait to hear from Ro. Can't wait to hear from Aftyn. And back to you, Alan.
Thank you so much. And let's try to bring Hartzell Gray forward as a co-host if we can. And just we'll hear briefly from Hartzell. I think Hartzell may be back as early as next week with more of an update. But if Hartzell can be made a co-host, I can ask him to unmute. And please unmute Hartzell. But Hartzell, how you doing? I should be able to hear you now.
What's going on, y'all? Can you hear me?
We can, and we might be able to see you too. But you'll know if you can turn your video.
It's coming.
There we go. And it does look like Ro will be here very shortly. So, Hartzell, quickly, I understand you have clarity that you may not have shared with the PDA family as to what your race is shaping up to look like in Missouri. So, just a quick update on that front, and anything you want to add in a minute or two. And everybody should know to check out Hartzell online and his candidacy. The first candidate we endorsed to PDA for the whole cycle of the 2026 midterms, as they're called, for the U.S. Congress. Yeah, how's it looking right now, Hartzell?
Yeah, Hartzell, you should be able to turn your camera on. And Carla, I'm lowering your hand again, sister. We're all holding on raising hands until Alan calls for them. Love you. Back to you, Alan. And Hartzell.
Okay, and back to Hartzell, who we can see in beautiful red. Go ahead, Hartzell.
Yeah, and it's so great to be back on the call. I love you all so much, and what an incredible Sunday town hall. We've got just a stacked card. I'll be quick. So we've got Congressman Ro Khanna and hopefully soon to be Congressperson-elect Aftyn Behn. And I guess we're recovering here today in Kansas City. We just got off of our huge citywide food drive that I was able to throw alongside some colleagues here to stuff the truck is what we called it. We made sure to feed about $8,000 to $10,000 worth of food for the community, and that's what we do, And so in this 4th district that I'm in, after the gerrymandering fight, there's somebody who doesn't fight for any of us, and his name is Mark Alford, and he is the Republican who is sitting in that seat. He worked from the Fox affiliate here in KC. The tagline used to be "working for you," and actually what Mark Alford does is instead of working for you, he's just performing for the president. And so we've had a really great opportunity in rural America, but also urban and suburban. Folks are saying tax the rich, Folks are saying I want universal health care. People are saying I want to make sure we have a Green New Deal. So again, I am just so happy to be on this call because I learned so much of my political home and upbringing from everyone on this call. And so I hope I can circle back here a little bit longer in the next couple weeks because again, what an incredible, incredible lineup that you have for today's town hall. But I wanted us to close with this. I was chatting with some friends the other day. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty good line I came up with. But in a moment where democracy is actively backsliding. Us on this call, Congressman Ro Khanna, Aftyn, as democracy is backsliding, our moral clarity and our progressive values cannot. It is required. And so I am just so happy to be on a call with folks who understand the urgency of now, as MLK said. And urgency of now means also please give all the support to everybody who is doing the good work, from myself to Aftyn. If you can donate your time or your treasure, especially, in these moments where we're about to hit the holiday season, it's not a wonderful time to bring in money for a political campaign. But if you got good folks on the ground, 10 toes down, help all of us. Like I said, I can't wait to see and hear from Ro and Aftyn and my brother Alan Minsky. I love you so much, and I can't wait to hear and hopefully, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, be a part of some of these breaking news developments for a certain LA convening of like-minded, good, people-powered folks. How about that for a radio tease? How about that?
That should be good coming up soon. Look for it. Thursday evening, December 11th. Something should be brewing in Los Angeles, and all about, the way progressives really need to be recognized as the dominant force within the Democratic Party in a way that is all going to be also about party unity when it comes to November, making sure we defeat the fascists. But let's make sure that the dominant popular faction within the Democratic Party, the progressive faction, is no longer shunned and marginalized by any forces from the establishment and allowed to ascend within the party.
And
And
one last final thought, if I can, thank you to Ro Khanna for showing what it's like to force the issue from the Epstein files to a Palestinian state. That is what power looks like. It's how you wield it, it's how you approach it, and it's how you build coalitions from that. We've got the playbook. I can't wait to see how far we go. I love you. Have a great rest of the call. Let's go, Ro. Let's go, Aftyn. Let's go, PDA. Back to you.
there we go. Thank you so much. And thank you, Hartzell, for joining us. And again, we might have you back again with another update as soon as next week. Now, as we wait for both Aftyn and Ro, both scheduled to arrive at the same time, which again is something that we sort of were hoping for. We thought it might be about 10 minutes earlier. We apologize for that, but we got to have an update from Hartzell, got to hear from William, as well as Donna, Mike, and my little updates on what's been going on. But now is also a good time to say that obviously Hartzell, when he comes back, will do what we do when we have an endorsed candidate here, which is we'll raise funds both for PDA's efforts on behalf of the candidate. But this week we're doing it for one Aftyn Behn. So Mike Fox, if it's possible, if you could add the split into the chat, and I can make a little pitch for what we are doing for Aftyn Behn. And what we're doing for, if anybody can do that, and let me know that you've got the pitch, the split into the chat. And
going in right now.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike Fox. So look for that, everybody. And to click on that and give what you can, because both money will go two places. First of all, it's unlikely that PDA will recoup its money that we're spending on Aftyn's campaign, because we are going to the wall for Aftyn right now. I mean, we're just throwing down, and we have been all the way since we got on board her campaign quite a while ago. And Mike and the whole team, who I think so many of the people on the call here know, do an incredible job, because they know that they get calls out to everybody for these phone calls every Sunday. But they'll be doing that to people in Aftyn's district, and they'll be doing that basically in coordination with the campaign itself. But PDA really is going to town with mobilizing people for this campaign. So every dollar contributed to Aftyn's campaign directly will be matched by a dollar going to PDA, and we will almost certainly spend more money on that than we'll get coming in. Unless, of course, somebody wants to make a really big donation, which we welcome, of course. And they'll go to two very good causes. Again, this is a race that could really reset the American political landscape for the time being. And again, we are waiting for both the arrival of Representative Khanna and campaign candidate rather, and Tennessee State Representative Aftyn Behn, both scheduled to arrive on the minute. Just clicked over halfway through the hour, so we're waiting for our esteemed guests. And again, I believe that into the chat we have the split donation. Do we have that there right now, folks?
Yep.
Um,
It just gets pushed by. And so, tell you what, gang, let's close the chat here for just a moment.
Yeah, and then drop it down there. Yeah, we'll be closing the chat as we get our esteemed guests on here. And there's Andrew Good, Betty Everett,
Boink,
and
there it is again.
okay, good. Yeah, give what you can, and there's a volunteer link too. But give what you can for the Aftyn Behn PDA split. Donate what you can right now. It just takes a second, everybody. And there, I just put it in by itself even again, and we can strengthen our capacity to bring home a victory in Tennessee's seventh district. And Mike Olis, have you got an update from Aftyn herself as to when she might be coming in through? Mike Olis?
Hey, Alan. Hey, PDA Nation. I think soon to be Representative Aftyn Behn has now entered the chat. So just gonna let her into our room right now, into the
Okay,
Zoom
great.
room.
And well, this is fantastic. And again, I cannot say, and this will be a nice thing for her to be walking into as she arrives. This was an incredible conference I was at, all in support of a humane healthcare system in the United States for Medicare for All, put on by the fantastic organization Healthcare Now, which has been a partner organization of PDA from its foundation. And all the activists that were there, and they're about, I'd say, about 175 people who were participating in the conference. I certainly got word from like 100 to 125 that they're not just aware of who Aftyn Behn is. They're not just rooting for Aftyn Behn. They are blown away by Aftyn Behn. I mean, they think that she is going to be just a true champion for not just the people of Tennessee's seventh district, but for all of us in the United States of America. Just a person who is exactly the type of character that you'd want to have representing and all of us in the U.S. House of Representatives. And I know that we're getting part of Rose's team is entering as well right now, but is Aftyn with us then, Mike Olis?
She's there. She's not a co-host, Alan. That's what I say.
I just co-hosted her, I thought. Hold on.
Yep,
I'm
yep.
right
She
here.
just. Hey, how you doing, Aftyn Behn? Did you
Hey,
hear what I
guys.
was? Did you hear what I was saying about the people at the conference I was at?
I can. I'm so excited. I'm actually calling in from my Jeep Wrangler. I'm out in the rural parts of the district today, heading to
Wow.
church and doing all the southern things. So, yeah. How's it been going?
Well, I'm here in Florida. I'm usually in California, but I'm here at a conference that was in Rockledge, Florida, and now I'm in, I suppose, Cocoa, Florida, and it's beautiful here. And all the activists at the conference, they not only know about you, they not only are rooting about you, they think when you win, you are going to be one of the great representatives of the American people, let alone the people of Tennessee's seventh district. You have a fan base like you could not believe right now across this country, Aftyn Behn.
No
So.
pressure. No pressure at all.
Oh,
Thanks,
no,
Alan.
no pressure. If it goes no further than this, it's been brilliant because the world has been introduced to you, and you are a light. You are a shining light. But I think you probably know, right? Your candidacy now has been embraced by a broader swath of the Democratic Party family, and that's a real good thing right now. It's a great thing. We have experience at PDA where our candidates go into the general, and the establishment doesn't exactly. I think hopefully we're past that moment because I think progressive forces are strong enough, but they'd be insane not to do that to you. I think you are clearly somebody who not only really, obviously, you're a PDA type progressive. We love you all the more for that, but you also are a public servant with your pulse on the feelings of the people in your district. And,
Yeah.
and who wouldn't go for a candidate like that? So quickly, I know Rose is going to join us, and we're going to try to overlap you because I think Rose got a little bit of an announcement relevant to you
Oh,
that
great. Oh,
that
great.
he wants to make. But yeah, how's it going? How's it looking?
Yeah, just an update about the race. I've lost my voice, as you can tell. So we have narrowed the gap in an R plus 22 district to about 4 points, which is wild. And so I had a bit of a rough day on Tuesday because I have not had to endure the Republican Eye of Sauron on me because I've only ran in one Democratic primaries, which it doesn't get too nasty in the South. So I was having a rough day, and then lo and behold, I learned that the House Majority PAC is dropping $1 million in our race, which is unheard of in the South and for special elections. And it's such a testament to the organizing that has happened the past decade in Tennessee for this race to be competitive, because we have knocked over 40,000 doors. We've knocked probably every door in Nashville on Saturday, yesterday. The grassroots momentum is everywhere. And I think what's really interesting is the far right, I'm sure you saw, decided to take some of my words out of context and lambast me for saying that I hate the city that I have spent years organizing in and representing. And no, I do not hate country music. I was conceived after a George Strait concert, so joke's on them. But yeah, they're just trying everything. They're grasping at straws because we have built a grassroots cavalry that is undeniable, and the momentum is here. Everyone is so excited. We've got 1 week starting on Tuesday to finish us out. So we've got 8 days starting tomorrow. So all of your phone banking, all of your postcarding, it is working. I'm looking at some polling results right now that shows us that Democrats are quadrupling turnout of the Republicans. And so that is where the race is. And I'm just really honored to be the Democratic nominee, to be receiving national support, and to be endorsed candidate from you all.
And we do have Ro Khanna with us, and I'm going to let the staff know that he is under the name of a very close associate of mine. And there are two of them, so let's make them both co-hosts. Elizabeth Cavalieri, who is somebody who works on what I call Team Khanna and is a fantastic ally. And William Walter and I both work with Elizabeth very closely. She's utterly marvelous. So there's another Elizabeth Cavalieri there too. So let's unmute both of them. And before we do that, though, I want to ask one question. Your opponent was a somewhat controversial Republican in the district, and well, we can hear Ro. Let's just go over to Ro right now. And Ro Khanna, we can hear you. How you doing, Ro?
Good, but I don't think it says they need to let me have my the video on.
We're working it, brother.
Yeah, I think you came in with a double name, so they have to unmute two people. But we're going to connect you with Aftyn Behn directly in a second, and then you'll get to say hello. And I believe you have something you want to share with her, an announcement you might want to share with her and all of us as well.
What names are this again, please?
They're both Elizabeth Cavalieri. They're two Elizabeth Cavalieri. Sorry, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, per having once lived in Italy, but maybe Americans pronounce Elizabeth's name differently. But they're both under Elizabeth. And see, this is why we're so charmingly personal.
Hey, Mike Fox, I'm sorry, I just changed. I think I got the right name under Rep. Ro Khanna. So
okay, thank you. Sorry, Representative Khanna, we're working it.
And Elizabeth, how's it going? Do people understand the contradictions of your opponent too? As somebody who I know a lot of Republicans were very unhappy within the state, or is that not playing out as part of the race very much?
Yeah, no, it is. The Republican Party is pretty fractured right now. They have a really big hangover from their primary. And I will say that a lot of folks are staying home. They're just choosing. They're like, Trump's not on the ballot, I'm not voting. And anecdotally, and obviously and it could be down to 100 votes, but anecdotally, a lot of Republicans have crossed the line and voted for me because they are tired of the chaos, and they want to see something different. And so if you want, we can't afford more of the same, which is my opponent. So if you want to change, then I am the candidate of change at this moment in time.
Yeah, no, I not only that, I think, the degree to which Zohran Mamdani in his meeting at the White House said that, a lot of what gathered momentum for Donald Trump was expression of economic discontent. Well, we are the answer to the questions of economic discontent. And I think that really is something that you really have your finger on the pulse of that as well, as does Representative Ro Khanna. Now, again, having Aftyn Behn and Ro Khanna here in this past week is pretty incredible because, of course, Aftyn is now the focal.
Put yourself on mute, Alan.
Alan, you got muted. Unmute.
Oh wow, that's too many buttons being pushed at home. But Ro Khanna had an exceptional week too, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, Ro, are we able to have Ro on camera right now, folks?
Yep.
Welcome, Ro Khanna.
Hi, Alan. Great to see you, Aftyn. I'm so proud of you. I'm so inspired by what you're doing and running a campaign. Obviously, I'm excited and honored to support you, but you are doing something so important, which is running a campaign against a rigged economic system that has really left working class folks behind. And you're bold. You're standing up for national health insurance and Medicare for all. You're standing up for taxing billionaires. You're standing up for universal child care. You're standing up for an economy that's going to work for all of us. And you're showing that when you have that vision, you can win in Tennessee, you can win in New York, you can win in Ohio. You're helping us rebuild the FDR coalition. So I'm just so proud of what you're doing. And you've really inspired the country. And every person in the country should be volunteering on the campaign, contributing to the campaign, whether it's $1, whether that, emailing, doing social media. This is the next battle for us to win. I mean, if we win this, it's really a blow to the Trump coalition, but equally importantly, a vision for how we go forward as a Democratic Party with a real vision. So Aftyn, a lot of people in Congress have been inspired with what you're doing, and we're excited. I'm excited to be a colleague of yours soon.
Well, thank you so much. I learned from the best, which we are one of them. So I'm just really honored. I think the message of cheaper groceries, cheaper utilities, cheaper rent is resonating. And in a state where, hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent to prime a constituency saying that immigrants are the reason your grocery prices are high, I think is backfired, because the real villains of the story are the top 1%, the billionaire boys club, and multinational corporations that have sold us out and on our back. So just thank you so much for the support. It really means a lot. I've been very honored, and we're working so hard, and we've narrowed the gap, and who knows? I mean, we might have the most profound political upset in recent history on our hands.
You will. I believe in you. I think you're absolutely right. Like these meat packers that you've been going after. I mean, 4 companies, 2 of them foreign owned, have basically a monopoly on our food supply, and that's why beef prices have been high. That's why steak is high, and you've identified the real cause. These big corporations rigging the system, not having competition, jacking up food prices, jacking up the price of meat. You know what you're talking about, and you're doing it with integrity. So I really believe you're going to pull this off. I think after Zoran's win, Abigail's win, Mikey Sherrill's win, the momentum is with us, and we're all rooting for you. But more than that, I want everyone on this call, please go and contribute to Aftyn, even if it's $1. Go and do social media. We need to go all out. I mean, this will shock the world. It'll be as big as AOC's win, as Zoran's win. This is as Bernie's 23 states. We need to win this race.
Aftyn, I can let you know too that PDA, for all that we do everything we can before a campaign, and we do everything after a campaign. And when you and Roe and you're up on Capitol Hill, we will do everything we can with our team up on Capitol Hill to facilitate an introduction to all of the great offices like Ro Khanna's team and everything to get you up to speed and running right away, representing your district. And I think you'll do just a fantastic job with that. The ideas that you'll bring into the mix for the progressive movement up on for the progressive caucus up on Capitol Hill to be able to coordinate and work with great offices like Representative Khanna. But I just have to also absolutely echo what Rep Khanna just said. Everybody on this call right now, and we put the link into the chat a little while ago, please click on that, donate what you can, sign up to volunteer. PDA is running phone banks for Aftyn Behn all between now and Election Day, which is just not long, 10 days from now, I think, right? 9 days from now, right? And we'll be doing that, and the excess that we have will channel into the phone banks that the campaign has itself. So everybody sign up, give what you can, and your final thoughts, Aftyn Behn, for the moment, because I know you got to get back to knocking doors and driving around the vast geography of the Tennessee 7th.
Yeah, I'm out in the hollers right now. Just that I'm so grateful for the spotlight being on the South, and the South has long often been overlooked and disinvested in. And as W.E.B. Du Bois, I said this again on your call, but as he said that as goes the South, so goes the nation. And this is where the bellwether is. This is where the heart of this Republican political project that is falling apart is happening. And people are ready for change. They are ready for change, and they're ready for people who are going to stand up to corporate greed and the oligarchy. And so I'm happy to do so, and just very honored to have the endorsement from you all. And I'm going to go out and head to my next event. But thank you so much, and let's win this on December 2nd.
Thank you so much. And Rep. Khanna, just a final word to Aftyn, if you like, just for one sec.
Aftyn's going to go win. I'm excited. Let's go do it. We need her out on the door. So I appreciate the time she took.
Well, everybody's so busy these days. Thank you so much, Aftyn, Behn, and everybody. Let's get on those links, and thank you. Take it away to victory. And Rep. Khanna, I understand you're in the great state of Nevada. We are all over the place. We just heard from Tennessee's 7th. I'm in the Atlantic coast of Florida here, and you're in Nevada, always on the move. How you doing today, sir?
Doing well, Alan. How are you doing? Thank you for your early support of Aftyn, and you're always just such an intellectual leader on economic policy, foreign policy, and I always love, as you know, PDA. It's such an incredible force now in our politics.
Well, what we promised our PDA family here is everybody right now is going to have a chance to get a question into you. So everybody, please raise your hand, and we'll get a question up for Ro Khanna. I just have one question for you, though, Ro. What was this week? What a intense week it was for you, and you have been credited with bringing together people along with Representative Massey on Capitol Hill. I mean, this was the best day the U.S. Congress had in the 119th Congress. You were at the center of it, and yet, by the end of the week, Marjorie Taylor Greene had resigned. Where does it all feel like it fits right now? The kind of was there something of a coming together of forces, or was it just momentary, issue based, and now it's going to go back to as if it never happened again? What's your sense of that? And certainly your bond with Representative Massey, I believe, is something to applaud unequivocally.
Well, first, Ellen, thank you. It was about the survivors. I mean, these are women who have been denied justice, who have been denied a voice for decades, ignored by the political class, bullied by the political class. And they felt heard. They felt seen. Yes, it's about releasing the files, but they also had a near unanimous vote of the House and the Senate and the President of the United States signing a bill saying that their stories are not a hoax, that rich and powerful men can't just abuse underage girls in our country, and that there has to be accountability for these thousands of victims. So they are the ones who are the true heroes and deserve the credit. What Massey and I showed, though, is that there is a populist coalition that one can build in this country, similar to the coalition that FDR built, similar to the coalition that Jesse Jackson built. And it's appropriate that we have Aftyn here. And that is a coalition that says that we do not need to give the Epstein class impunity. We cannot give them impunity. You can't have rich and powerful people living by a different set of the rules. And then many of this class got us into endless wars. They offshored industry simply for the sake of profits and low wages. They have shafted a lot of rural America, small towns, and a lot of the working class. And it is a failure of the governing class. And we need a different vision. And that vision can bring together, in my view, a thoughtful progressive populism with some of the populism that is frustrated on the right, but into a more aspirational vision, a vision of an economic policy that's actually going to work for Americans, and one that's going to build a multiracial coalition that's not going to give in to nativism and xenophobia. And that's what we're trying to do. Now, do I think it's going to be easy? No, but I think what Massey and I showed is if you're creative, you can build those kind of coalitions and succeed and have Donald Trump cave to you instead of being supplicants to Donald Trump.
Well, as you know, one of the things I feel, and I don't mean to flatter you unduly here, sir, but I always feel like the more your voice is elevated in American politics, the better American politics are off right now. And in that sense, it was a great week. And, there was a lot of stories about you around the world that were written, really recognizing your very unique communicative skill sets, grounded in your commitment to the progressive ideals that you advocate for throughout. Well, let's go first to Nancy Singer with a question for Ro Khanna. Then Don McCain is next. Nancy, please unmute. I'm sorry, Nina Singer. I just called you Nancy by mistake. Nina, if you can unmute, there
Hey,
you go.
okay, no, it's Nina, not Nancy, but thank you, Alan.
Yep.
Congressman Khanna, but man, what a week. I just want to say hats off to you. You guys are incredible. Pulling that off, getting a full house except for one to vote for the Epstein files. But number one is what's the next step? How is that looking about getting the files? Number one. How's it looking with the DOJ? Any chance?
Well, they need to, Nina, give us the files under federal law, and those who don't comply from Pam Bondi down could be subject to criminal prosecution. Massey and I are going to meet with Pam Bondi, request a meeting to understand exactly the process over the next 30 days, what they're going to release and how. But we're not going to give this up. The survivors are not going to give this up. And now we have the law of the land backing us up. And it's people who take a risk in violating the law could be subject to the contempt of Congress and future prosecution when we do have a Democratic president. So this is no longer just I'm going to not fulfill Donald Trump's campaign promise. This is now the law of the land.
Thank you. Don McCann, your question, please.
Yes, I'm a former president of PNHP, and I just wanted to know when Congress is turned over in the midterms, will you work with Congresswoman Jayapal or any other appropriate legislators to produce the definitive legislation and single payer improved Medicare for all? And then 2 years later, when you are elected president, will you sign the legislation?
Well, I'll answer it in the context. You're very kind, Don. I'll answer it in the context of the issue. Look, this is something we as Democrats have been fighting for since FDR, for national health insurance in America. That there is no excuse for the private profits that these insurance companies have been making. It is the biggest issue of vulnerability for working class Americans. If they can't afford food, they can get it often from neighbors, and they scrounge for putting food on the table. If they can't afford rent, they sometimes people can be with their family. But if people have a work accident, if they have a car accident, and you don't have health care, it can devastate a family. It can devastate an individual. We need Medicare for all. We need every single American to have health care as a right from the day they are born. We need to have zero premiums and deductibles. And we can pay for this by taxing the billionaires, by taxing wealth in this country, by taxing stock buybacks, and making sure that we're also reducing costs, because you're no longer going to have the dead weight loss of insurance companies, the dead weight profits of pharmaceutical companies, the extraordinary waste of claims agents who are denying people's claims to see a doctor or hospital, no longer the atrocious hospital facility fees. So, yes, I will be working with Bernie Sanders and Pramila Jayapal to strongly push for Medicare for all in 2027 when we take back Congress. And I believe it needs to be a foundational commitment of our party in the next election, presidential election, that we are going to fight to finally fulfill FDR's vision of Medicare for all. And we need to put it back in our platform, and we need to make that a defining cause of our party.
And PDA will work with you on that initiative with all of our energy and all of our might as well. Carly, you're up next, and then we'll go to Jean and then Heidi. Carly, Jean, Heidi.
Hi, Representative Khanna. I think I met you at the Labor Day rally. I just wanted to ask, in light of Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning, do you have any viable people you think you might want to reach out to possibly run for her spot as a progressive? Because if we can fill that spot, then there's no going back in the best way. I feel like that we should probably round up some people to try and shoot for MGT spot, just to be safe.
Well, it's a great suggestion.
Conservative.
It's a great suggestion, whether it's a progressive Democrat or even if someone who can be even if there's someone who runs as a Republican but takes the point about healthcare being bankrupt and us needing a new healthcare system. But I think we should run a progressive there. And I will take that back to the Progressive Caucus and maybe with PDA, see who we can recruit someone in Aftyn's tradition. I mean, we've got to compete everywhere. And one more time, I want to just say this point. Jonathan Jackson's father, Jesse Jackson, won so many states in the South as a African American progressive running on single payer in the 1980s. If he could do it, we can certainly do it now today.
Thank you. Gene Dorio, you're up. Please unmute, Gene. And PDA came out of the Rainbow Push movement of Jesse Jackson. People don't know that. Gene Dorio, you're up.
Great. Thank you, Alan. Hello, Congressman Khanna, and thank you for being here today. During the recent government shutdown, many of your constituents were upset that they weren't receiving paychecks while members of Congress still received theirs. My question is, in light of California voters passing Proposition 50, is there a way, like a national proposition or even a constitutional amendment, for citizens to create a law that would require federal legislators to have their salaries withheld should there be another government shutdown?
I totally support that. I have supported that. I thought it was outrageous that members of Congress were getting paid while our staff wasn't, and that members of Congress were getting paid while Air Force traffic control employees were not, while our troops were not. And I fundamentally believe there should be two things. One, members of Congress should be not be paid, and they should be required to be showing up from morning to night in the Capitol until the Congress is reopened. This idea that you could just shut down Congress or have members of Congress flying around doing whatever they want while the government is shut down is unconscionable. So they can't be unless there's a constitutional amendment, which is a tall order. What we need is legislation. But this is something that could be bipartisan. It could be something that Massey and I or others work on. And I do think we need to look for the populist bipartisan ways of making a difference. This could be that kind of an idea.
Heidi and then Mike Olis. Please unmute Heidi. Yes, you're unmuted. Go ahead, Heidi.
Hi, Rep. Ro Khanna. It's very honorable to talk to you again. We spoke on the Popular Democracy call the other night about the environmental justice of the Green New Deal for Health that you co-sponsor with my former Congressman Ed Markey.
You looked it up, Heidi. I appreciate that. I remember I said look it up, so you did.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I've got a link that I wrote to for Facebook on it so that people could learn more about it. So. And I'd like to drop that in the chat, but I'm not able to right now. But
email it to me.
Please
email it to me, Heidi, and we'll get it out.
Please please let people know on this call what this is all about and why it's important.
The Green New Deal of Health came out of AOC and Markey's Green New Deal, and what it says is, look, when we have climate disasters in this country, we are not prepared for the emergency response, the healthcare response that is required, particularly in underserved communities. We need to have healthcare resilience in places where we have climate emergencies. And we also need to make sure that our healthcare system, our hospital system, is looking at the emissions and the impact on climate. So Ed Markey and I did an entire bill called the Green New Deal of Health and would love your people's feedback on it. And Heidi, thank you for taking the time after my answer to actually look it up and put it online.
Mike Olis, our PDA Chief of Staff, you're up.
Hi, Representative Khanna. Mike Olis here in Indianapolis and Chief of Staff of Progressive Democrats of America. I joke with a lot of my friends that I've met you way more than I've met my own member of Congress. And if you want an accessible member of Congress, Ro Khanna is the person who'll show up in your backyard at some point during his career because you're so, always so involved and engaged. And we first, I think, met around offshoring of jobs and the attack of workers under the first Trump administration. And I've been working a lot with federal workers, people who have lost their careers, who have been let go, dumped, fired early, made to retire early. Our federal government workforce, which has taken an oath to protect the Constitution, is under attack. And I'm curious, what you're seeing on the Hill and Trump's attacks on workers are just increase and increase at all sorts of different levels. And so, how can we help our federal workers, especially all those who are under attack right now, trying to uphold our government?
Well, thank you for saying that they're under enormous attack. The first thing we need to start by saying is government is a force for good in American life. That without government, we would not have clean air, we would not have clean water, we would not have safe air travel, we would not have so much of the infrastructure we have, we would not have Silicon Valley and the technology companies, we would not have, of course, the national security, we would not have people having basic health care and good public schools. For so long, we have allowed for the Republicans to define the debate as government as evil. And what that has done is have given power to billionaires and corporate interests that don't want to see the people standing up as a balancing force. And we've had unfettered capitalism with no sense of the state representing people, ensuring that that capitalism is actually working for communities and working for people. So when we celebrate public service and those who stand for the government, we're overcoming this narrative of demonization. And then we need to make sure that we're actually highlighting the consequence of what they're doing. They're taking away funding from cancer research. They're taking away funding from fundamental scientific research that keeps us competitive. They're taking away funding from universities. They're taking away funding from our air safety. And to make the case that we do need to be standing up for these federal workers and making sure that they have due process. I think that the next Congress and administration is going to have to reimagine these federal agencies and ensure that workers actually have due process protections, that they can't just be fired on the whims of presidential whims for political reasons, and that these agencies are totally rebuilt. And we're going to need everyone on this call to help do that.
Thank you. And Myla Reason, please unmute. And then we're going to go to Joe Robinson next, then Donna Smith.
Oh, thank you. Ro, I had the pleasure of meeting you at the Bernie rally in LA back earlier this year. And I asked you about the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant, the decrepit PG&E plant that is threatening all Californians. As you may know, the Federal Nuclear Regulatory Commission is now poised to award PG&E a 20-year extension on their operating license. And they are in charge of overseeing the safety of the facility, which is not safe at all. And I'm asking you to look into it because we really need you to take the lead and make sure that Californians are no longer threatened by this extraordinarily dangerous situation. We could have a Fukushima on the California coast, and I'm not kidding. Thank you.
Absolutely, I will. I've been very outspoken against PG&E. I believe it should become either a state-owned or a California customer citizen-owned utility. I don't think that the private profits for PG&E, as regulated by the Utility Commission and mandated by them, has served California interests. They have shortchanged us on safety, and they have shortchanged in terms of investment in renewables, and also increased utility bills. And so I don't trust them with the safety of the Diablo Canyon, and certainly for a 20-year extension. And I'm happy to talk to the California delegation and see what can be done.
Joe Robinson III, your question for Ro Khanna.
Yes, thank you. Congressman Khanna, my question is there any backroom talk or anything regarding reversing a lot of the ridiculous actions Trump has taken, such as tearing down that ballroom, cutting down those flag poles? I think you see the vein where I'm going. Just a lot of that, just ridiculous, man. Just a waste of treasure. Is there any talk regarding that? And that's my question, sir.
Well, unfortunately, he's destroyed it, and he's going to build this ostentatious ballroom, which is about as in touch as Marie Antoinette's "Let Them Eat Cake." And I said to someone, look, he's lost his kind of populism. They got him 2 terms. He's gotten so used to hanging out with tech billionaires and building ballrooms, and that's, I think, why his numbers are declining. But some reporter asked me what once he builds this ballroom, and we're filing on courts and others to try to stop it, but he seems intent on doing it. What should the next administration do? And I said, well, they should ask the American people what we can turn that ballroom into. I mean, off the top of my head, I thought, why not make it an economic sort of war room where we implement the Marshall Plan for America and make it about rebuilding the American economy for the working class. Or maybe we create a child care center where we're providing low-income workers with child care. But I'd love your ideas about what should be done with it, because it certainly shouldn't be a ballroom for the rich and powerful as a symbol of the White House.
Thank you Thank you, Joe Robinson III. And Jonna Smith, you're up.
Hi, Congressman Khanna, thank you, first of all, for your courage and for how outspoken you've been for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. I also want to talk a little bit about our healthcare industry. I'm hoping you'll help me change our terminology from a healthcare system to an industry. And I had a letter in the Denver Post yesterday where I talked about what I think we have a pressing public health crisis from coast to coast, which is the short staffing of nurses and other hospital workers right now. Hospital corporations are being allowed to short staff. You hear this, I'm sure, from the California Nurses Association, for whom I used to work, and National Nurses United, but something must be done nationally. Too many of us can't see doctors for months and months with insurance since the pandemic. So we have to find a way to solve the problem. Talk about something that needs to be worked on right now. I'm hoping that you will help us work on this. And let's call it an industry because it ceased being a system a long time ago. Thank you.
No, I agree with that on an industry. I mean, it's a for-profit industry for private insurance, for hospitals, for big pharma. And I also agree with you about the nurses. We need laws to require a nurse ratio. I mean, right now, as you know, there are a lot of hospitals that don't have a sufficient nursing as employees, and their nurses are overworked, and patient care is neglected. And we need a massive investment to have more nurses assistants that and work with National Nurses United and others on how we build a nurse workforce. But one of the places we need to be investing as a country is in the care economy. Those are the jobs of the future. They're not going to be automated. You're not going to have AI be able to be at a person's bedside dealing with their diagnosis of cancer. And so those are jobs that we need, and we should be investing in every community.
They are trying to automate our care. So, and I know you know that well enough, but thank you so much, and keep pushing for Medicare for all. We've got to get it. And it's just too important right now in the country post-pandemic. It is a disaster unfolding in communities everywhere, rural and urban.
I totally agree with you. I think Medicare for all has to be we should be screaming it from the rooftops now with the insurance premium hikes. And we need to be finally, I think, in 2026 and 2028, making this part of our platform. It was part of our platform until 1980, until it got taken out post-Reagan. From 1945 to 1980, it was part of the Democratic platform. We need to restore that into the platform and fight for it.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you, Donna, and thank you, Rep. Khanna. I want to remind folks, too, that Ro Khanna also has a bill out now that's going to make it easier for states to pursue single payer health care within their own states. And I know that the first state that seems to be making a go of it and making a good go of it right now is Oregon. And of course, we have our northern neighbors, Canada, where their national health system came about from Saskatchewan and then spread across the whole country from there. So we can get there that way, or again, the national push for Medicare for all, which I think is, as you know, will come front and center as a campaign issue in the next presidential elections. The Democratic primaries. Timothy Michelle, if you can please unmute Timothy, and then Mimi will be next. Timothy, please unmute.
Yes, thank you so much for being here, Representative Ro Khanna. My question is, how do we build bridges to Mexico and Venezuela rather than building bombs to send to them? I think we need to partner with those countries in order to be able to build up both of our countries. What is your take on that?
Well, I totally agree. I just met with President Sheinbaum 3 months ago. Very impressive. She is doing an incredible job as a leader of Mexico. And we talked about both the types of technology investment we can be making in Mexico, so there are good jobs and economic development there. We talked about the irrational tariffs that have been put on tomatoes that are hurting consumer prices here, but also hurting the Mexican economy. We talked about how we could actually have a rational immigration system. So we need to partner with President Sheinbaum, and we need to look at what they've done in increasing the wage. Time after time, 6 or 7 increases in the living wage for in Mexico that should be an example for what can be done here in the United States. With Venezuela, I've been very outspoken. It's a regime change war. Trump campaigned against these endless wars. He's been talked into it by Rubio. This is a place where we can actually get the populist right and the left saying no more endless wars, no more wars like in Iraq and Libya and Venezuela. And we need to stand up for a foreign policy that isn't militaristic and adventuristic overseas.
Mimi, your question for Rep. Khanna.
Hello, thanks everybody. Hi, Representative Khanna. I'm a constituent. I live in North San Jose. I have met you and I've gone to your town halls. And I did what you said at the previous town hall. I started tagging Mike Johnson and others to reopen the government. So
thank you. Well, you were part of our success. You know, I appreciate it. It's the citizen engagement that really, along with the survivors, that made all the difference. So thank you, Mimi.
Yes, sir. I did. You did answer that question for me on the YouTube town hall that you did suddenly instead of in person. But my question today was, thank you for all your climate leadership. And would you be so kind to ask the California delegation to support the California Make Polluters Pay bill here in California? It's there's a companion bill, and it's particularly shocked people that FEMA has not given any money for the Los Angeles fires. So if I could get in touch with your climate aid through PDA, I would really appreciate that. And I could send you fact sheets about health and many things that you know as well. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We should. I've been pushing for FEMA. I visited the Palisades and that area, and I've been pushing FEMA to provide funding, as is the California delegation. But we need to have the polluters pay. I held hearings with the oil companies where they admitted, the oil CEOs, that they knew about climate change in the 1970s and they lied to the American people. They need to be held accountable for some of these climate disasters. I'm on Ilhan Omar's bill about making polluters pay, and I would support that in California.
We only have Representative Khanna for about 3 or 4 more minutes, so try to get your questions out in about 15 seconds. Amanda H., you're up next. Please unmute Amanda. Go ahead.
Hi, I'll try to make this very quick. Hi, Representative Ro Khanna. My question is, now that the Epstein files have been released as the law of the land, what is the plan to shift focus to protect Black and Brown communities from the unlawful and inhumane treatment by the DHS, BP, and ICE that we have seen in cities like Chicago, where they repelled from Black Hawk helicopters and zip-tied Black and Brown children in the middle of the night?
Well, it's disgusting. As a son of immigrants, it affects me very personally. And I introduced with Jasmine Crockett an ICE code of conduct bill. ICE agents need to have body cameras. They need to have visible identification. They can't be wearing masks. They need to report to the Justice Department so that civil rights are being upheld. And I believe we need to be reining in an ICE that is acting unconstitutionally, that's ripping apart kids from families, that is harassing American citizens. That is not something that 80% of Americans believe in. They believe that we treat people humanely. And Jasmine Crockett and I have been leading on that, and we're going to continue to fight for it.
Mitchell Weiss, please unmute.
Thank you, Congressman, for your time. My name is Mitchell Weiss. I'm in Utah. I'm the chair of the Utah State Progressive Caucus, and I live in the newly christened D+13 district after a 7-year lawsuit to end our gerrymandering. And we have an opportunity to elect a new progressive to Congress. But to do that, we need to get through a former colleague of yours, Ben McAdams, who is a demonstrable moderate and lobbyist for the financial industry. And I just want to put it out there because this is a possibility that's very viable in Utah. We are a very progressive state. And I just want to start having those conversations because we're going to have more of a battle at convention than we are in the general election. So
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I do know we're going to pick up that seat. Congratulations on the work you did in that state, and maybe you should run. I think we need a progressive in every district running in this time, and I think progressives can win in almost every district. So,
We
thank
do
you.
have a candidate, so
Well, bring him to my attention. Send him to Elizabeth. Alan knows, and we've endorsed a lot of progressives, not just Aftyn. We endorsed Kat and Zoran, of course, and list is a long list. But I'm Graham Plattner in Maine. I mean, we're endorsing progressive candidates across this country.
Yeah, we're going to try. Thank you. We're going to try to get Dorothy, Melissa, and Murray in, and then we probably got to let Ro Khanna go. But Dorothy, very quickly, please unmute. You're
Hi.
unmuted,
So I
Dorothy.
had a lot of stuff to say, but I'll make it quick. So AI is born in your district. It looks like it's about to destroy the world. What do you have to say?
Great
Well,
question. Go ahead.
look, we need to understand the real threat that AI poses both to jobs and to our democracy. And what I say is we need to make AI for us, not them, not for the tech oligarchs and tech billionaires. Are there ways that AI can contribute to helping advance more medicine and more information? Absolutely. But we need to first prepare for the threat of job loss. What do we need to do there? We need to change our tax code right now, which incentivizes people hiring robots and automation instead of hiring people. We need to make sure that we're protecting our drivers and giving workers a say before AI is being adopted. And that's why I've supported in California, in opposition to the tech companies' legislation to protect truck drivers and workers. We need to make sure workers are profiting from the productivity and either in shorter work weeks or in higher pay and a share of the profits. We need to have an AI jobs new deal that is hiring young people who are having a hard time getting jobs because of displacement of entry level jobs, and that is going to be hiring people who may be losing a job or displaced because of AI so that they're continuing to be productive. And we need to make sure that there are safeguards for mass layoffs of people done not to increase productivity, but simply to increase profits. So I understand technology and the AI technology, and I think we need people to understand it to be able to stand up to the tech billionaires and the tech oligarchs and make sure that AI is being used for all of us and not just to maximize profits.
Okay, we're past time here, but I'm going to still try to squeeze in if it's okay. Murray, Melissa, and then I know William Walter. I'd be remiss if I didn't have William maybe say goodbye instead of me because I think you're getting to know William in Wisconsin out there. But Murray, you're up first. And your question, Murray, please, 15 seconds.
Okay, thanks for everything you guys do. Part of the reason we're in this mess is because of the Robert Six in the Supreme Court. What do you think can and should be and will be done in the future to deal with that situation? And
Great
so it
question.
doesn't happen again.
Well, we need to have term limits for Supreme Court justices, and all options, including the expansion of the Supreme Court, need to be on the table in a way that makes sure that the court is reformed once we get power. We can't be passive. I mean, this court is anti-democratic, and we need reform.
Melissa, you're up.
I'll answer to
Final.
anything. Thank you for having me. Representative Ro Khanna, what are you going to do to make sure that teachers are recognized as professionals as I'm going to school to be one?
We need to pay our teachers more, but the main thing is we need to respect our teachers more. I tell people all the time, the biggest influence in my life, other than my parents and other than my spouse, have been my teachers. My ninth grade English teacher who helped me get published, my social studies teacher in 10th grade. I grew up with an extraordinary public school, and more than anything, they made me believe I could do anything in this country. And they gave me the sense of hard work. They gave me a sense of having an aspiration for service. I still am in touch with my ninth and 10th grade teachers, and we need to honor our teachers, respect our teachers in this country, and pay our teachers.
Thank you so much, Ro Khanna. I'm going to hand off to William Walter for the final word, my peer from Wisconsin. But I just want to let you know that again, as you know, I've bounced into some events on YouTube and other platforms that Ro Khanna was doing out across the country, and I think the kind of civic dialogue that you promote in your meetings and in venues like this is something that we need so much more of in this country. And so we at PDA are committed to trying to facilitate bringing your voice around the country as much as we can. Thank you so much for your time again. We look forward to having you again back soon. And I hand off to William Walter from Wisconsin, who I know
Thank you,
also does some
Alan.
great work with Team Khanna. Take it away, William, and
Yeah,
just your final thoughts were. Yeah.
Well, I love Representative Khanna's last answer. I've often said that teachers and nurses are kind of the bedrock of society, right? They represent education and health, which could direct onto life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Is there anything more American? But Representative Khanna, time and time again, is not only on the right side of issues, but he is the first one standing up for these issues. And often that's alone. The Epstein files is a great example of that. And so much of politics is about building consensus, right? As Representative Khanna mentioned, 534 out of 535 members of Congress supported this. 99.8%. I ran the math after the fact, Alan. I was correct on my quick mental math. When does almost 100% of Congress agree on something? When it's the right thing to do. And sometimes it takes one bold representative to have the guts to stand up and do and say what needs to be done and said. So thank you so much, Representative Khanna. Thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to continue working with you. And let's give a round of applause for Representative Khanna, not just for being here and taking his time, but for all the fabulous work that he's been doing over the past 12 months, but really the past 6 months in particular. He has been, I think, one of the most impactful leaders at the national level in a time that the Democratic Party and progressivism is desperate for leadership.
Well, William, thank you, to your leadership in Wisconsin, and Alan, of course, to you and your leadership, but to all of you at PDA. Look, I appreciate the applause, but this is not false humility. I don't believe that change in this country is going to come from one individual. It's not going to come from Bernie Sanders. It's not going to come from Ro Khanna. Change is going to come from a movement of people committed to an ideals of restoring us to human rights, restoring economic justice, making sure the country is actually working for left out communities, for the working class, and not just for the very wealthy, who have really created extraordinary cynicism in America. And I think when we mobilize, like we did on the Epstein class, but we can do this on issue after issue, we can start to move this country in the direction that it needs to be. I'm honored to be in Congress doing my part. But what we really need is people like you and PDA building this movement so that it is not dependent on any single personality, but a movement that is going to transform this country. And I appreciate what all of you are doing. Look forward to joining the call in the future.
I could not agree more, Representative. But one thing I have to add, Alan, based on a conversation that the representative and I had at Progressive Central in Chicago last year, sometimes it takes a singular moment to launch that movement. And it's often that singular moment, it's hard to know what it's going to be. I think back to the television shows that I grew up on in the 90s. I like to joke that millennials are the Disney movie generation, where there's a clear and concise evil and a clear and concise good guy. And often the hero's journey, it takes that kind of one transformative point in time that really wakes them up to the severity of their circumstances and the importance of making tangible change at that time. And you have been a leader in of so many of these moments that, while we love the humility, we also have to give credit where credit is due, that sometimes it takes a leader standing up and saying, this is the time to act. And when the leader says that, great leaders also know when it's time to learn, when it's time to listen, and when it's time to follow. And when that time comes, we will have your back. We will be there. And that's what organizing is all about.
Well, I appreciate that, Walter. I will say that I'm more a Shakespeare guy of the complexity and ambiguity of human nature than just villains and good guys. But my evolution in politics is sometimes you need to be less Hamlet and more Disney and have clear villains and good guys. And so, we all learn in our life. And so it's probably a mix.
And our literary seminar can continue in future weeks. This is brilliant.
All right, take care.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. I love that, actually. That's fantastic. Well, folks, look, I do apologize to everybody who had their hand up. It kept getting longer and longer as we went along, and I especially feel for the people who were at the very top of the stack who we didn't get to at the end there. But Mitchell, if Mitchell Weiss could be muted, I think he's playing music now. So
I just muted him. You have to unmute.
There we go. I'm unmuted now. There we go. Good. Well, hey, that's fantastic. And look, we're going to go to family time pretty soon here, Mike Fox. So get ready for that because I'm a little bit running on fumes here with the conference we just got out of, which is fantastic here in South Florida. That was exciting. Dorothy Reich has more to say. I'm always happy to hear from Dorothy. So, Dorothy, I'm going to unmute you, and you can help me from being inarticulate at this moment with your eloquence. What's on your mind, Dorothy?
I just wanted to congratulate William on the fundraising in Wisconsin. It looks like the Wisconsin Democrats raised 4 times as much money as the Republicans. Now I wanted to see if you had a comment.
400 times more?
No, 4 times. Sorry, 400%. Yeah.
Okay.
The Wisdems have long been kind of seen as the golden child of national parties, particularly when Ben Wickler was in charge. I think most people on this call are very familiar with Ben Wickler. And he's someone that Alan and I have worked with in the past. I think he's a good person. I wouldn't have taken some of the same approaches that they took. The new chair of the Wisdems, Devin, I also think he's a good person. I've worked with him in the past, but he's my age. So we do have some young leadership kind of stepping up to take the lead. And Wisconsin, the Wisdems, like I said, they're a well-oiled machine. They're not as progressive as I would like them to be. We're working on that every convention every year, trying to push them further and further to the left. But Wisconsin will always be one of, if not the definitive 50-50 battleground states in the country. And it's so important to be doing what we're doing here because most don't recognize this, particularly with Ron Johnson in the Senate and obviously having Trump having won in both 16 and 24. But something like 21 or 22 out of the last 26 statewide elections in Wisconsin have gone to the Democratic candidate. And we need to continue this fight, particularly with the new maps that were enacted last year. We do have a good shot at winning back the state legislature here. And if we can do that behind the scenes, there have been a lot of work with the many progressive organizations in the state to kind of put together our own quote unquote Project 2025 for the state of Wisconsin so that we can once again take the mantle as the national leader in forward thinking policy. For those unfamiliar with the Milwaukee Sewer Socialists or anything, Wisconsin has a very rich history of progressivism. The Wisconsin idea was kind of the basis for a lot of FDR's transformative national change. And we're really hoping to be able to recapture that glory post 2026 elections. And I think we have a good shot at doing so.
Yeah, Ron Johnson said that if they passed the Individual Stock Trading Act, that there would be no point in being in Congress at all. So maybe they'll pass it and maybe he'll quit and you won't have to worry.
we have a saying here in Wisconsin, FRJ. You can Ron Johnson is, of course, the RJ. I'm sure you can figure out what the F stands for. But
yeah, thank you for that, both of you. Well, look, let's go to see what John has to say and Michelle has to say. John Stofko and then Michelle Anonymous.
Yes, on the.
Thank you, Dorothy. Please mute Dorothy. But John, what's on your mind?
What?
Yes, my question was for Ro Khanna, however you hung up quickly. My question was going to be, what is being done about this rail merger between Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern Rail Corp? There's a monopoly going on between these two railroads.
I'm watching the PDA Zoom call.
Hold on, let me mute everybody that can't seem to grasp muting.
Okay.
All right, you'll have to unmute, Alan.
Got it. Yeah, and John, that's a great question. I do apologize, and I certainly can, I suppose, apologize on behalf of Ro too. That Ro did have. He was going to be here for 45, and he was, and so he left. That's a great question, and I'm sure you're on point too, John. I'm sure it's a monopoly, and because that's where things have been going over the past few decades, and pretty much with no breaks, so to speak, on anything. So, great question, and it's something we should all look into. And thank you for prompting us to pay attention to that, John. Michelle Anonymous, what is up?
Yes, I had hoped. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I had hoped that I could have asked Ro Khanna this, but I'll go ahead and ask you anyway. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, 100 miles from the nuclear test site. I wanted to know his position on nuclear testing and if Congress can do something to stop them from renewing nuclear testing. Back in the 80s, when they had nuclear tests, it made the ground shake like an earthquake, and we've got a lot of fault lines coming through here. And besides the earthquake effect, I can't help but think there could be more problems with the radiation going underground and groundwater and all that kind of thing. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up and see what your position was and what Ro Khanna's position
Ours is
was.
certainly the same as yours. We would oppose that. Absolutely. Absolutely oppose that. And with no qualms or qualifications. Of course, I can't speak for him on a subject where he's not here to give his opinion, but thank you for raising the question, and let's try to get that to as many people. And obviously, this is something that is returning to being a very live question relative to in the past, as nuclear testing is seemingly being practiced across the world more than it had been. So, or at least in a few instances. Mickey Leader, you're up. What's your question?
Hi. I thought he's wonderful. I wish he'd stayed for an hour or more. But
Yeah.
the fact that, he's willing to entertain any suggestions, I'd love him to entertain looking at all of those tiny houses and trailers, etc., and find public lands to put housing up. Habitat used to build housing for people who were quite unable to afford it, but I'm talking about large swaths of land to rehome people who are unable to afford the rents. I don't care if you're in New York or California or Florida, and there's got to be a way to do those things are so affordable. And if you get the ones that are built in, I think it's the Far East, you're seeing things that are just delivered by truck and they unfold. And they're not a lot of money. I've seen them.
Yeah.
On top of that, the Marshall Plan idea is a great idea, a terrific idea, because we need to do that. But additionally, childcare, paying our teachers more money. How about, we say it all the time, our daycare workers? How about our elderly home health aides? You can't get them from the stinking insurance system anymore. And as I get older and more handicapped, I'm not getting anybody, and I can't walk without two canes, and I can't do anything anymore from progressive long-term COVID. And we're spending a fortune on all of this stuff, the medicines and the 20% copays. It's ridiculous here that why in heaven's name did all of us sit on our asses and do nothing to stop this? Because all I can think of is how the hell did we get ICE to be hiring for $50,000 bonuses people we don't have clues who they are, but we think many of them are the people Trump pardoned from January 6th. It is the Gestapo again. And those of us who have a history background, and I'm almost 80, my husband will be 80, and bottom line, everything we see, it's brown shirts, Gestapo. Are we nuts? Do we need this? You can't go anywhere. You can't find workers in any of the trades. They had something on this morning about kids are not even going to school. There was a big gathering, and a woman who said she's volunteering now to pick up all the children of the immigrants because they've been so terrified they won't go to work and they won't drive their kids to school. And so she is picking up as many kids to bring them into school. What country are we in? I have people who say, oh, I can't be bothered. It's making me really depressed. And, you can't do anything. You better do something, or you're all going to be in concentration camps. Really, it's unbelievable.
Thank you so much, Mickey. No, you're on point on all points you're making. I do want to go back to one thing you said at the top, though. One thing the United States had I think did wrong in the post-World War II period, and of course this was very informed by structural racism in the society. But if you look at the way the public housing was built in most, particularly I know Western European cities, this is probably true of our allies in East Asia too. It was not in concentrated areas. So there's always a danger if you have all of the poorest members of society living close together, and especially in geographic contingency. What's the word I'm looking for? That's not the right word. But next to each other. And so that's what you had in the United States. And of course, for instance, Pruitt-Igoe in north side of St. Louis. And if you look at, there was a terrible tragedy that occurred in London, you might recall, where a tower caught on fire about 10 years ago, 6 years ago or something. Horrible number of people died. It was public housing. It was in one of the wealthiest parts of London, near Kensington. And in Europe, they built public housing spotted around the metropolitan areas, not largely concentrated just in poor communities. And that's one of the reasons why you don't have, the kind of like deep entrenched urban poverty in a lot of our allied countries, wealthy liberal democracies, other than the United States, like you have in the United States. So I love what you said at the top, but again, not concentrating geographically, dotting around. We need to get the political will, which doesn't exist in the society right now because of NIMBYism, to allow for public housing to not be all concentrated in the same area within metropolitan areas. So there's just that thought. Other than that, really appreciated everything you said. And let's go to Leah Cooper. Please unmute Leah.
Hi, thank you, Alan. I'm in the healthcare industry. I'm an ultrasound tech. And I had a thought about healthcare enrollment conditions. It's usually, you can apply for healthcare when you're getting a new job, you lose a job, or you're married or you're pregnant. And that's really the only situations where you can do that. And I was wondering, does anybody think that it would create more competition if they changed that law for getting healthcare? Like if you were able to get it anytime, then would healthcare companies have to charge less because they're in competition? Because healthcare is just so expensive. Even if you have covered California, you can't get, PPO, and that's all the doctors accept in LA. And, it's just almost impossible.
Well, thank you. Does anybody want to answer the question who may be more knowledgeable about that than I am? Donna or anybody? But thank you for putting it out there. And I do want to say I just texted Mitchell Weiss, or I wrote in the chat back, Mitchell. And if you could contact me when I'm done with this road trip in a couple days about the Utah candidate, I sent you. You can probably find my phone number off of my emails that sent out, but I put my phone number in the chat response to you. And if you could text me in a couple days, I could pick it up from there. And I'd like to pick it up with the Utah candidate question. PDA would for sure. But I'm out on the road right now, but a little bit hard for me to follow up. Mimi, again, let's try to get through this stack of people, then either go to family time, or if we don't get through it in the next 10 minutes, go to family time anyway, and then continue the stack. But Mimi, what's up?
Thank you so much. Nice to be here. I'm glad you all called on me. I just wanted to remind everyone that there's been an 80 trillion transfer of wealth from this country up into the 1%. And we really can't say that enough in every call and every meeting. And that's why we don't have Medicare for all and never ending wars and a Green New Deal, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you, everyone. Love to Mickey. Love to everyone who commented. Have a great day, everyone, and a great week. And I'm so excited what Ro Khanna said to me. And I need help from PDA California, please, for the Make Polluters Pay resolutions in cities and counties ASAP, because we have a deadline for these bills in January to pass the first committee in the House of one of the houses in California, then that whole floor by the end of month of January. And this is waking people up since FEMA is sending no money for the LA fires. So thank you so much, everybody. And I will be reaching out for more help in California and Mike Fowler, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi. Mike Hirsch, what's on your mind, Mike? Please unmute, Mike.
Thanks, Alan. I have a quick answer to the question about having longer open enrollment. That might have a marginal effect on costs of healthcare. The problem is that through legal loopholes, insurance companies are allowed to collude and set very high premium rates. And absent a Medicare for all style system, they're going to continue plundering the American people. So there's no quick and easy answer other than Medicare for all.
Yeah, you rock, Mike. Thank you. And thank you for stepping in there, because that's what I sensed, but I couldn't put it as succinctly and as eloquently as you did right there. Thank you so much. Let's go to Kate Carlson right now. Please unmute, Kate. Kate, please unmute. Kate Carlson. Kate, we can come back to you, and we'll go to Michael Seeley.
Oh,
Michael, please.
crap.
Oh, no, you're on now. Go ahead. Michael, hold off for a sec. Kate, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, there's actually so many things I could be asking about or talking about, but I am really concerned. My husband and I have been seeing a bunch of podcasts here lately about the AI, and I know you touched on that a little bit ago, and I can't remember what the actual percentage was, but I'm just thinking it was 50 or 60% of let's say unprofessional people, entry white collar, blue collar jobs. No, white collar jobs. What were you going to say?
Yeah.
Hold
No,
on, just
programmers. No, they say a heavy percentage of white collar jobs would disappear. That's been the sort of frontline talking point recently. Yeah.
Yes. And so that's a real concern. My husband's here too. He's going to speak.
I think a more relevant question is that there are absolutely no regulations on AI.
Yeah.
And at a minimum, from the podcast that I've been watching, at a minimum, the government should be asking the people that are building these AI platforms, how are you testing it for safety? And you need to report back to us and prove to us that what you are building is safe. So the thing can't be used to like build viruses and build weapons of mass destruction or
Nefarious.
whatever. There don't seem to be any safety guardrails, and it's the Wild West.
Yes, and also you are absolutely correct. And while this is no way a palliative for that, any kind of solution, but Bernie Sanders did a really great discussion with.
I saw that.
Yeah, we watched that. Yeah.
Yes, and just to let me recommend it out to everybody else. It was at Georgetown University about 6 days ago.
That's right.
With what was his name? Last name was Hinton. Is that correct?
Yes.
The godfather of AI.
Right. Very good. And I think it's on the Bernie Sanders platform, certainly on the Georgetown platform from that. It was actually the same institution he gave his famous speech at back in 2016 about FDR, and actually a speech on socialism that ended up to be more about FDR and the New Deal that Bernie gave. But yeah, very good dialogue. Thank you for raising this. We are at PDA looking into this rather intensely through actually one of our close associates, Christian Nunez, who was most recently the president of the National Organization of Women. I did not know, but is very, very informed on this subject. And so we've been in dialogue with her and then some other people whose names you don't know, but from some progressive organizations that are tracking AI. And we would love, certainly going forward, to make very clear exactly what you just said as what should be a demand from the broad progressive movement about AI, because you're right on point. So thank you both Carlsons for bringing that up. Really appreciate it.
Hey, Alan,
thank you.
Just want to hop in here too real quick about AI. And there's just massive data center fights right across the country right now. And if you don't have one in your hometown, you'll have one here soon. So that's just something else where this week I've been to, meetings where rooms are packed, people are ready to fight, and we're gonna destroy our climate and our water building these things. So it's just an all out fight right now. Also, just for the infrastructure of AI. Before AI can nuke us and take our jobs, we're gonna destroy our planet making this stuff.
Yeah. That's right. Yep. We have 2 data centers in Sarpy County where we live.
Where do you live, sir?
In Sarpy County, Nebraska. We have a Google and a Meta data center. And I don't even think people around here understand they exist. And they've stopped the upgrade of some coal-fired power plants to gas. So it's a nightmare.
We just went to a city hall meeting just the other day discussing this, and
it's Public Power District, and they're going to get whatever they want because they have unlimited resources. They can buy our governments.
There's a lot of people in North Omaha that are highly affected by it because of asthma, various lung issues they have, which I do too, but I'm on the other end of town. But it's coming, and it's going to mess up the water, everything.
They're miles. Both data centers, each one is a mile square. They're enormous data centers.
Yeah, massive.
It's scary.
Wow. Well, thank you. Let's look. Obviously, we get in these little phases in election cycles and political cycles but this is a huge subject. We have to lift this up at PDA. So
Oh, yeah.
please, if we don't organize a town hall around this subject
Yes.
between now and the top of the year, keep nudging me about it, and I'll make sure it happens as soon as
Thank
possible.
you.
Great. Will
Yeah.
do. Will do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlsons, and good luck out there in Nebraska. And thank you for standing up, and we'll follow through. Michael Seeley, and thank you for your patience there. That was a little longer than the usual, but that was very constructive from the Carlsons. Michael Seeley, what's on your mind? Thank you for your patience.
Well, I just wanted to find out about a neglected or invisible battle in the all important gerrymandering wars. What's going on in Missouri? Is Hartzell here or
Yeah,
Robert
he
from
is, and he'll
Boca?
probably be back next week to clarify that he's now running in the 4th district. So yes,
But you know that's a practically unwinnable district, and the crucial thing is to get the gerrymandering stopped. I was wondering what's going on with the effort, the petitioning effort, and is our help needed? The Democrats are putting in, I think, small change from the National Party to support this. Is there any Missourians here to report on it?
I think this is Mike Olson, Indiana, Chief of Staff of PDA. And so in Indiana, we have beat back gerrymandering. So they're going to try to take 2 seats, both in heavily Democratic urban areas. And the Republicans here got so much pressure in the Senate that they stopped that from happening so far. So and then one small victory saved 2 seats there. But it's it's a state by state thing. I think Missouri is already a done deal. Unfortunately,
no.
No, Bob, our head of Missouri, on our campaign call last Thursday, addressed this, and they're on it with both feet, Mike.
Great.
Well, don't they need our help?
We have asked for the help in Missouri.
Yeah, our people are on it. We have got a good team in Missouri, including obviously Hartzell.
Yeah. Anybody on this call who wants to travel to Missouri to help with the effort, hit us up at info@pdamerica.org.
Can't we phone bank?
Nope. There's no phone bank up right now.
Yeah, we probably won't be phone banking anything, but except until we're through with Aftyn's race.
Once we're done with Aftyn, that's a possibility.
Well, thank you, Michael Seeley, and let's go to Sam Clowder at please unmute Sam. Sam Clowder the second, please unmute. And we'll keep asking. Melissa, please unmute, and then Sam, please unmute. Go ahead, Melissa.
Hello, thanks again. I've been trying to do my best. Even though I haven't been phone banked this past week, I've called my senators and tried to talk to my friends. One of my main concerns is that I've heard that teaching with the new mandates is no longer considered a professional degree when it comes to special education. What can we do about this?
Well, again, it's a subject that is a little new to me. You're saying that the special education degrees they've shifted categories?
Yeah, according to Project 2025, if you want to get federal funding, a lot of people are losing some of their federal funding financially because they want to be special education teachers. And when I try to talk to people about this, I'm being called an alarmist, and I know I'm not an alarmist. I know what they're doing is they're saying that if you want to directly be a special education teacher, they will not allow federal funding for it.
Doesn't strike me as being alarmist given the nature of what we know about the Project 2025 people.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I think it is I think I heard whispers about this, but continue to bring it up on these calls and then provide whatever information you can to us, and then we can figure out maybe a congressional outreach strategy. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for raising it, and don't be hesitant to keep raising it. And again, I'm sort of out here on this road trip. I'll be back in a couple days home. But again, and PDA team, let's try to look into this as best we can. But Melissa, please bring it back up.
May I ask one more thing? Are you aware of the climate reality project proposed by a national university? This is my university that I'm attending online in San Diego.
I'm not necessarily, but I do think something happened this past week at COP30, maybe conspicuously because of the United States' absence. It seems like some progress was made there. Now, I again have been on this road trip and I haven't looked into it. This has just been the past couple of days, but I think a declaration was made for getting back on track to phase out fossil fuels, which was something of I think seen as something of a breakthrough. But of course, the United States non-presence undermines the fact of the breakthrough at COP30. But that was in Brazil this past week. So I do apologize for being a little bit out of the news cycle right now. But no, I don't know what that is either, Melissa, what you're referring to specifically.
It's put up by my school, and we're working to bring climate change to as a reality and not a scam.
Well, keep us up to date on all of that, okay?
I will. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we'll try Sam again, then go to Craig. And I'm going to be off by the top of the hour, Mike, and we'll go to a quick family time. Sam, please unmute. And then Craig, please unmute.
Yeah, all
okay.
right. Yeah.
Go ahead, Craig.
Well, I think I said before that I'm an ecologist, and I'm really more than flabbergasted by all the negative treatment of the programs for conserving nature, protecting, restoring nature, Endangered Species Act, withdrawing from the Paris Climate Treaty. This is a terrible mistake. And I'd like to say that it's a shame they didn't mention the phase out of the fossil fuels at this COP30. That was a tragic mistake. I'd also like to say that they should look into other factors relating to global warming, including animal agriculture, especially massive feedlots and factory farms that generate tremendous waste and tremendous pollution. So we have to be very honest, and we can't live in just look at the world through rose-colored glasses all the time. Otherwise, really going to come down hard on all of us. So I'd just like to know what are the Democrats doing to get back on track, to get back in harmony with nature.
Have we lost Alan?
As people know on this call, and then I'm not shy about saying, well, we do need democratic unity to defeat the fascists. There's quite a divide between the moderate Democrats and the progressive Democrats on many issues. Sometimes the divide is even greater than it is on environmental issues, but it's pretty significant there too. So certainly what we support, Craig, is probably absolutely in line with what you'd wish. And that's what we advocate for inside the Democratic Party in terms of taking every measure possible to, with safe energy systems, to have renewable energy, to move us off of things like factory farming, to move us off of false solutions like, the idea that somehow some machine can be created that's just going to suck all the, carbon dioxide out of the air. So we're opposed to the maintenance of fossil fuel, and that it needs to be taken down. And we have to develop clean energy systems that replace those fossil fuel usage. And again, I haven't looked into what was passed in detail at COP30. Hopefully it's a good thing, but we obviously have to get the United States back into alignment with the rest of the world to pursue progressive environmental policy. Sam, I understand you're saying you can't unmute, but I don't think the host is doing anything to keep you from unmuting. I mean, I'm asking you to unmute and keep clicking on it. And Mike Fox, Sam is saying he can't unmute.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, Sam. Don't take it personally. There's some kind of technological disconnect here. Can you type your question into the chat?
Yeah, sorry about that, Sam, but I'm certainly asking you to unmute. And thank you, Craig, for your comment.
Yeah, sure. I think if people could get back into more direct relationship with having gardens, or even in big cities, like they do in New York and places, they become more aware of their relationship with all the plants and animals that are part of life on Earth.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, London has great programs for that too. And certainly urban gardening, and there's been some great projects in Detroit, Michigan. There's great things down in the south side of Chicago too, but urban gardens, but it just had people having gardening, and to have that be something, I totally agree, something that, we should try to encourage and get into our, constant checklist of things that progressives should be encouraging people to participate in. So I do agree with that, Craig.
Wonderful.
I'm a little beat though, guys. You probably can tell at this point. I'm trying to eat something just to keep my energy up here.
Yeah, the algorithm would love it if we would wrap the recording.
Okay, let's wrap the recording. You're right, and let's just look. Geraldine, Basarm, Razmi, sorry, and Carla and Sam. You guys are going to be inherited by Mike on family time in a sec, and I'm going to go and catch my breath here and get some food and go to sleep early. So with that, I'm going to thank, of course, Aftyn Behn. Whoa, Aftyn Behn. Everybody for Aftyn Behn, folks. I mean, I'm sorry. You could not have a more positive, upbeat candidate who really wishes the best for the people of her constituency. She's going to be a great representative if she wins. We have a real opportunity, thanks to just the incredible dynamism of the candidate and the political moment, to have a victory that we're not expected to have in this ridiculously bifurcated political system that we're in, because right now people should be supporting the policies of the progressives have put forward. And Aftyn's going to be a great representative. So let's do everything we can for Aftyn Behn, who's one of our two featured guests. I want to, of course, thank Hartzell Gray, William Walter, Mike Olis, Mike Fox, Donna Smith, everybody who participated from PDA staff on the dialogue, also the PDA members in the background working on this, and of course to Ro Khanna. Thanks. Ro just loves taking questions, and we threw him a whole bunch of great questions. In fact, it was amazing how little overlap in subject matter we had with all the questions that were asked of him. And as you can see, this guy is a whip and a half when it comes to being able to just engage with the public and really respond on all fronts with a very positive, progressive vision for American society. So, look, I'm going to sign off, and we're going to be back again with another PDA Town Hall next week. So join us then at the same time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, for next week's PDA Town Hall. Thank you all, and Mike Fox, take it away for family time.